No, they have the Glacier Fortress. And the Wrath of God. No. And it mills us over because we lost our Stitcher supplier. Holy crud, folks. Our opponent coming in clutch. Greetings, everyone. I am glad you are here, and I am glad to be here. Today we're going back to Historic to play our jank, and yeah, this is a little bit of a spicy meatball. We've got some Gitrog Monster to give you today. We'll see how it performs. I'm still, a little iffy on this particular 75 because it's a very delicate balance to strike. Those of you who are unfamiliar, the Gitrog Monster came from Innistrad. I guess it was Shadows of Innistrad, the more recent Innistrad set. 6/6 Death Touch for 5. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice the Gitrog Monster unless you sacrifice a land. Not great. But you may play an additional land on each of your turns. And whenever one or more land cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, draw a card. So, can very potentially be, a very, very powerful card. That said, it takes a little bit of finagling to make that happen. The best way, of course, is since you're sacrificing a land every turn, being able to play lands out of your graveyard. So the first synergy we've got, of course, is very obviously Crucible of Worlds. You may play lands from your graveyard, right? Very, very strong. And secondarily, Ancient Greenwarden. You may play cards or land cards from your graveyard, right? And then, of course, if a land entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers a second time. So, Landfall, right? Landfall. That makes the most sense. So what sorts of Landfall things are we going to be doing? Well, of course, a little bit of Lotus Cobra, never hurt anybody. Skyclave Shade, triggering twice, doesn't really help, but is a strong card. More importantly, ladies and gentlemen, Scute Swarm. Yeah, you knew it was coming. Scute Swarm. I've been having a great time with this card since Zendikar released, and we're going to try it again. To support this theme, we have a very light graveyard recursion theme with the Mire Triton trying to mill and the Stitcher Supplier trying to mill things into our bin. We can bring back the Chainweb Aracnir and the Polukranos and then, of course, a whole bunch of lands, but we don't need it to be a very, very significant graveyard recursion theme. It's possible this is actually more graveyard or more self-mill than we need, right? Because what we really need is get a couple of lands into our bin and bring them back, right? The other things are kind of just a bonus. That said, in this deck, being a land-based deck, we are a little heavy on lands, just 25, but when you consider what we've got going on here, that actually might end up being a little light. We'll find out. The reason we can justify this is with the Crucible of Worlds as well, being present as well, we can recur our Fabled Passages, our one of Evolving Wilds, potentially even our Cryptic Caves, by sacrificing them and then bringing them back, right? So I think these sorts of things are okay. You will also note we are a little light on win conditions, all things considered. We do have a Zendikar's Roil as one of our principal win conditions. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 2/2 elemental creature. So hopefully we can make a whole bunch of those. And then, of course, the Scute Swarms. The Polukranos is actually more self-mill and rogue synergy benefits. If the rogues are milling us over, right, we just get it for free. But, of course, Mastermind's acquisition. That is one of our more principal win conditions. And what do we do with that? A whole mess of things, ladies and gentlemen. We have some cheap things to get back just in case we need to both cast Mastermind's acquisition and then cast the card itself in the same turn just to live. So things like Assassin's Trophy, if there's a really problematic permanent. Ratchet Bomb, if there's a bunch of tokens, particularly. Sorcerer Spyglass, if maybe a Planeswalker is going to ultimate or something. Maelstrom Pulse for those sorts of things as well. But we can go to the sideboard and grab a Crucible of Worlds with Mastermind's acquisition. That's why there's only 2 in the main. I think this is fine. You don't really want more than one Crucible of Worlds. Crucible of Worlds is a very, very powerful card to have in one, but having more than one just doesn't do much, right? So being able to have one out of the side means 3 Mastermind's acquisition and 2 Crucible of Worlds means we have access to at least 5. from the main, right? And then, of course, there's also the Ancient Greenwarden that kind of counts as well. Then we have some board sweepers in Extinction Event, Languish, and Ritual of Soot, depending on which one we choose for the given time. We have Karn Sign of Urza if we go to our sideboard, and you know what? We just want more cards. That's all we want. We can go and get more with Karn. Another Zendikar's Roil, which can be a very, very powerful card. But then the cards we're most interested in most of the time when we're casting Mastermind's Acquisition are the Haymakers. And we have several different Haymakers, depending on the situation. One is just Casualties of War. Destroy one or more, as many as we can manage in this. An artifact, a creature, an enchantment, a land, and a planeswalker. Sometimes this card is just an absolute game-wrecking bomb, right? Garrick, we just want to put out a bunch of creatures, turn over, turn, and potentially even ultimate. Vraska the Relic Seeker can do a little bit of both of those things on top of ultimating very quickly. But also, we can just go to the side if we have... Let's say our opponent has a problematic permanent and we've been making our land drops and everything. We could potentially go to the side for 4 mana and then cast this for 6 mana. Destroy that problematic permanent and have a planeswalker left over. So this is significantly better than having to go for an Assassin's Trophy or something if we do have, plenty of lands. Immortal Sun, for obvious reasons. We don't have any planeswalkers in the main, so that isn't a big deal. We do, it does compete with our couple of planeswalkers here on the side, but of course, if we're going after the Immortal Sun, there's a reason. So here it is. And then, of course, Chromatic Ori for situations where it is relevant as well. So without further ado, let's see if we can go win some games with it, shall we? All right, folks. This is a handful of Magic cards. I don't know what we expected. But if we can't keep this, we probably need to rework the deck, so I think we're going to keep it. Yeah, I think we're just going to go ahead and Overgrown Tomb here. The Evolving Wilds would be really nice after the Scute Swarm. Chandra's Pyreling, eh? Well. Okay, yeah, I think we're just going to go ahead and actually fire off a Mire Triton here. This might look a little weird, and we might end up taking a fair amount of damage for it, but I think this makes the most sense. Our opponent's probably going to shock it, but Chandra's Pyreling only gains the double strike in 1-0 if a non-combat damage is dealt, right? So, to us, if they spent a damage spell killing Mire Triton, it just wouldn't do anything, so, yeah. All right, in fact, that turns out to be okay. So we're just going to go ahead and Skyclave Shade, and I do think we're going to fire off the Bloodchief's Thirst. It's likely our opponent is playing whatever that's called, like the Cavalcade for 3 mana. I don't remember the name of that card, but... Oh boy, Chandra's Pyreling coming in again. Nope, not going to block. Well, let's go to combat here and get in with Skyclave Shade. Opponent very likely just going to take the 3 here. It's not overly threatening, but of course, remember, folks, it can't block, so it really doesn't do much. So we are going to Scute Swarm, Evolving Wilds. Make a couple of tokens. It's quite possible our Scute Swarm just dies here, right? That's the most likely scenario, as a matter of fact, if you ask me. So we want to make sure to get our value now out of the fetch land. Lava Coils, the Mire Triton. All right, fair enough. Does not attack. Oh my word. Well, folks, it's Gitrog. It's Gitrog time. Oh boy, and we make a copy of Scute Swarm as well. Feels good, man. Now, we're going to be sacrificing lands on a turn-by-turn basis, so we would absolutely love to see a... way of getting things back from the graveyard here. That would be fantastic. Oh my goodness. Here we go. All right, Mastermind's acquisition. Let's go to the sideboard. It is honestly quite possible that we just want the Casualties of War here. But the Immortal Sun isn't bad either, and neither is Garrett Cursed Huntsman. The problem is, unless we draw a land for the turn, it's possible we can't even cast a 6-drop next turn, right? So, I think the card that makes the most sense here is just Crucible of Worlds, and hopefully we draw into something that will allow us to win the game from there. Because we do have the Scute Swarms going, right? We will win pretty quickly here either way, based on that. Well, I guess, in fairness, we were supposed to attack with Skyclave Shade, weren't we? Yeah, darn it. Because we had the mana to recast it anyway. That would have just taken away a token of theirs. So, I think that was a very small punt, but a punt nonetheless. Ancient Greenwarden. Well, all right, folks. So we did not draw the land. It was as we had feared. But since we got the Crucible of Worlds, it doesn't look like it's going to matter. Yep. Maelstrom Pulse. Away all of those tokens, and we're just going to go ahead and get in with everybody. And Crazy Abo is like, oh my word. This is not going great, you know? Opponent not killing the Scute Swarm token here. I don't know why they would choose a generic insect token. Yeah, okay, that makes more sense. Is the opponent going to trade with Skyclave Shade here? Sure. Yeah, these things are all fine with us, of course. Yeah, these are very understandable and reasonable blocks. But our opponent just dropped to 6. And we will throw away every single one of these scoots if we need to. That is not a concern. Okay, it is Raid Bombardment. It is exactly what we had thought it might be. But our opponent is now in a lot of trouble anyway, right? Yeah, sure. We're doing this because... Yeah, okay. GG, opponent. We were doing that because we had lethal any number of a million different ways. But if they had some kind of card that maybe let them give extra damage and trample or something like that, you know, there's no reason... There's no reason to risk it when we've got them over a barrel here. So we were just going to block with everything, and if they have it, they have it, but it still doesn't change that we can kill them a whole bunch of different ways, right? So, all right, good game, opponent. Good game indeed. We're back against Trevise. Good luck, Trevise. And yeah, we're on the play. This hand is a little awkward. We have the forest and the wooded cemetery, or woodland cemetery and stuff, but no way to make this come into play untapped and cast a 1-drop, so that's kind of unfortunate. All right, let's start on a Thoughtseize, see what happens over there. Wow. That is not great, folks. That is a terrifying, terrifying, terrifying set of cards. Let's see what we pitched over. A land, a Maelstrom Pulse, and a Scute Swarm. All right, well, I think it's safe to say that our opponent knows what's up. We are absolutely going to windmill slam the Scute Swarm onto the battlefield here. Our opponent did not have any ways of counterspelling it or anything yet, and of course they just let the breeding pool in tapped knowing that. This is not ideal. There are plenty of situations where this might get us kind of in a little bit of trouble, but you know, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and I feel like this is one of the things we've got to do. All right, Narset, Part of Her Veils. Not a very fun Magic card. We're actually just going to hit this Narset, slow down the nonsense, and then on their upkeep, we're going to Field of Ruin a Scattered Grove. And make another token. This is not perfect or ideal or anything. They do get a... Oh my gosh, they don't get a... They don't get a Plains. Oh my word. Holy cow, folks. That is fantastic. Wow. Yeah, you know what? We're just going to go ahead and cast this right now. We're going to put a clock on our opponent. This does let us draw a card right now off of it, and we get the Scute Swarm token right now. Oh, boy, and we do get another Fabled Passage. That is fantastic. Holy crud. No board sweepers, baby. No board sweepers. This Ancient Greenwarden could be very, very good. Next turn, being able to let us bring a Field of Ruin back from the graveyard. All right, commit to memory. Annoying. Opponent drops to 6. No, they have the Glacier Fortress. And the Wrath of God. No. And it mills us over because we lost our Stitcher supplier. Holy crud, folks. Our opponent coming in clutch. Jeez Louise. All right, we're going to do this right now. Oh, my word. That was problematic, to be sure. Off the top, the untapped white source. Oh, my word. We knew they had a white source here, but... yeah, they hadn't come up with an untapped white source, you know? Oh, no. Deck, please cooperate. Don't do mean things to us. We really don't want you to do mean things to us, please. We say after we've... strip mined away several of our opponent's lands, you know. All right. Opponent going to draw a card, untap some lands. We're going to Bloodchief's Thirst it away for sure. I mean, unless, of course, they drew a veto or something. That would be problematic. Well, okay, never mind. All right, they did draw a veto or something, but that's okay. We have a Maelstrom Pulse. We are going to hold on to this just for bluff's sakes, but also a landfall thing, right? Where if we do draw a Scute Swarm or something off the top, we would like to be able to fire it off, you know? Oh, boy. Oop. Please forgive me. Hey, that's a good one. They're just gonna Elspeth Conquers Death it, aren't they? Yeah, they probably are. Yeah. All right. That is 8 mana, too, so this Ugin's likely going to come down. I can't believe they blew us out with that Wrath of God, folks. Wow, all right. Well. I mean, we're going to fight then. Polukranos. Settle the wreckage? I mean, that's just not that bad, folks. Yeah, we don't want to be drawing these lands, so it's fine. We are admittedly running out of targets for our Fabled Passages to go and get, which is not ideal. We are absolute magnates. And here comes the Ugin. Folks. Oh, hey, that's a good one. Now, admittedly, our opponent can just fire off the Elspeth Who Conquers Death for no value and just bring it back, which is not the end of the world. This memory stands to benefit us every bit as much as it does our opponent. So they may or may not be willing to fire that off. Especially considering they do have the Castle Ardenvale. Okay, that's a... Oh, my goodness! That is a fantastic one. All right. Opponent can't Elspeth Who Conquers Death it. They can chump block it forever, but that's all right. They were going to be able to make these 1/1s anyway. So us being able to fire it off and really handle them is definitely a good thing. All right. That doesn't help them much. All right. All right. Yes. All right. Now they can Elspeth Who Conquers Death this one. But suddenly they're in a bit of a spot here. All right, Skyclave Shade. Going to come back. Field of Ruin. Going to kill that Castle Ardenvale, and we aren't going to think twice about that. That's for sure. All right, Castle Ardenvale makes a token. Sure. Almost out of basics here. Oh, my word. Yeah. Elspeth Conquers Death, going to kill our Crucible of Worlds. Not a surprise here. But our opponent's life total is dwindling rapidly, folks. All right. Okay. Thoughtseize. Examining all their options. Seagate Restoration! Ah! Oh, my word. That is not great. Ah. Oh, wait. Does that mean that it's lethal? Oh, it is great! Oh, my word. Holy crud, folks. That is wild. That is wild. All right, folks. Here we are up against Marmo. Good luck, Marmo. We're on the play, and I mean, this hand is not super fantastic, but we do have a Thoughtseize to disrupt our opponent and, you know, Stitch a Supplier to mill some lands, maybe, or into the graveyard there or whatever, so. Let's start it off and see what happens. I mean, I guess we can't really beat that card. So we're gonna go ahead and let it go. Do we want another Thoughtseize right now? I'm not sure. Yeah, let's just fire it off, I guess. All right. And we can just let this come in tapped. Let's see. Well, folks, our opponent is unlikely to have spot removal here. But they could have some kind of exile something. So let's just wait on the Scute Swarm until we can follow it up with an Evolving Wilds. Oh my goodness. Bird? They can put counters on the Healer Sock? Oh my gosh. Animal Sanctuary coming through in the clutch for our opponent. That is fantastic. All right. We're going to Scute Swarm. Yes, technically we could play the Evolving Wilds, and maybe that's better. But let's just wait here. If we get an untapped land, that would be fantastic. We can get Gitrog Monster then. Immediately crack Evolving Wilds. Life would be very good if we can get an untapped land here. Delaying our Gitrog Monster one turn isn't a huge deal, I don't think. Okay. Well. There we go. Gitrog Monster. Yeah. There we go, folks. This is the kind of turn we were looking for. Yeah, yes. All right. And we've got some Scutes now. We have got some Scutes. All right, we're going to try and Scute in for a damage. We need to keep their life total down at a manageable level here, or we will die, right? Okay. Opponent making other land drops. Continuing to grow that Healer Sock. All right, Lotus Cobra, that's not the end of the world. Oh, Skyclave Shade, that's not bad either. But we don't have a land drop. Interesting. We're going to hold back 2, just in case they do have spot removal of some variety, because we can't take the hit from the Hollow Priest as well. So no, I think we're going to do this and the Mire Triton here. All right. We do draw a card from the Gitrog Monster. It's another Mire Triton. All right. Healer Sock coming in for 4. Sure. Down to 6. Hallowed Priest grows again. Folks, we need to draw a land here, please. Deck, for real. Oh, my word. Still no land. Let's start on Mire Triton and pray that we mill over a land so we can draw a new card. We don't. We mill over both of our Crucibles of Worlds. Oh, my word. Well. Everybody goes in. Opponent trades the Hollow Priest with the Gitrog Monster. Fair enough. We play a Lotus Cobra and pass. Opponent on 11, but getting to go back up to 15. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 damage can come through. Yeah, so they can't attack. All right, well, let's Scute. And I guess we're gonna pass. Because they couldn't attack last turn either. Wow, they didn't put the counter on. Holy crud, that's huge for us. Yeah. Okay, they get in this time. We drop to 2. And they scoop them up. Wow, that was close, folks. That was really close. Good game, Marmo. Good game. All right, folks. Here we are up against Empress Gaz. Good luck, Empress Gaz. And yeah, I think this is a keepable hand. We will need to draw some lands and stuff, but, you know, the Lotus Cobra does ramp a little bit, but it also provides a clock. So if our opponent's on a do-nothing style deck, you know, it definitely could be worse. Let's start on Stitcher Supplier. We do mill over a Chainweb Aracnir. That's always a nice little card to have deposited in our graveyard for later. Always like that. Ooh. Uh-oh. We're up against the combo deck, folks. Oh, shoot. I don't think we can kill our opponent fast enough. Darn it. And we don't have any of our... We have plenty of removal in this deck, all things considered, and we don't have any of it right now. E-I. Alright, well. Green. Scute Swarm. We're going to get in for, you know, 1. But, whatever. That's alright. Pass over to our opponent, Empress Gaz. What will you do? For those that don't know, this deck, or this combo, only requires the Seagate Stormcaller and a, creature to sacrifice to Neoform. So, our opponent messed up the combo! Oh, no! Opponent! Alright, so, what's supposed to happen here is the Seagate Stormcaller allows you to copy the next instant or sorcery spell you would cast. So, they play this creature, and then the next spell they cast is Neoform, which creates a copy of Neoform. So then they go and find a Dual Caster Mage, which copies Neoform, which allows them to go find another Dual Caster Mage, which copies Neoform, which allows them to go and find another one, all the way until 4 Dual Caster Mages. And then they go find Spark Doubles, or some other clone effect, and clone the Dual Caster Mage, clone the Dual Caster Mage, clone the Dual Caster Mage. So that they will then be able to get a whole bunch of folks on the board, and then they go and get Combat Celebrant, so they get an extra attack step, and they get something that gives them all haste, and then they just win this turn. So we were dead on board. I was just going to let you folks see what happened with the combo, but our opponent goofed up. Oh, no. Sorry, Empress Gaz. I am sorry, but good game nonetheless. All right, folks, we're back here looking at the Gitrog Monster deck, and it performed really well. We won every game we played with it. I don't think that's because it's broken. I think things just, you know, we kind of got lucky with our matchups and all that kind of stuff. There's still some tuning to be done here. Normally, when you mill things over, you want ways to get things back from the graveyard. One of the best ways to do that is Tamiyo, but we don't have any blue mana. There is the 3 mana card that's the new MDFC that lets you get things back from your graveyard. Oh. What is that called? Ah, yes. Pulse of Marasa can let us get creatures or lands back and gain 6 life, which does let you return stuff. But the Balagad Recovery lets you return any card. So the good thing about this one is the Mastermind's Acquisition is a card. We can go back and get it and then go back to our sideboard, things like that. It would also let us return Crucible of Worlds, for instance, from the hand of the graveyard. Or a Zendikar's Roil, or, you know, whatever we want, right? And we don't have any in here. It's quite possible that is an error. We could inflate our land count as well by having just some of these in here to make additional land drops. Maybe have a 27 or 28 land deck if we did this. But I don't know what we would cut. Maybe we would actually cut down a little bit instead of like 4 and 2, maybe just 2 and 2, and have very, very little self-mill. But then it's all just the self-mill's gravy anyway, so it wouldn't really matter. I'm not quite sure. Let me know down in the comments how you folks feel about that. And maybe we can make some changes based on that when we go to play it on stream. I'd really appreciate the input. I would also like to mention I do have a Twitch, folks, and I will be playing this deck on Twitch. And I'd love to have you in the stream. I'm very active with the chat. I love conversing with you folks. I love getting to know you folks. I know some people some streamers take a very passive approach to getting to know their viewers, but I like making friends. So come on out. I'd love to have a chance to talk with you. You know, if you do have any critiques on this deck or something, definitely let me know in the comments below. And that might help us sort out how to do better on the stream, you know? So I really appreciate it. You folks have a wonderful day.